Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this 12th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include country singer and songwriter Lindsey Lane. We'll also visit with country singer and songwriter Kent Blazy. And from the legendary band EXILE, we'll visit with Marlon Hargis. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, comment, leave some feedback, and share it with your friends. Country singer and songwriter, and we were just talking a few moments ago, just a small piece down the road from us here in Southwest Oklahoma, Lindsey Lane. And first off, Lindsey, nice to meet you, and thanks for taking some time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
And we were talking about small towns and forgotten towns in Southwest and actually all across the state of Oklahoma. And you didn't stump me yet. So there.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think I would. If you're from Altus, you probably know all of the small towns.
Now, Lindsey, tell me, where for you did music originate? When did a love for music in your soul begin, if you will?
So my dad played in a lot of bands, actually in Woodward. He used to play all the time over there. So when I was born, it was just a thing that always happened. And so he would play. We moved up to Amarillo when I was really young, and he played single act shows throughout the week at a place called the Country Barn, and I would get up there and sing with him. But I mean, I was usually in like my Tweety Bird pajamas, nothing extravagant, and I would sing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So I think it's always kind of been in my blood. And then just a few years ago, like I think it's been about 5 or 6, is when I really started diving into like the songwriting and all of that fun jazz.
Now, what's the music scene like trying to get underway in Amarillo?
I mean, there's been a lot of people come out of Amarillo. You have Aaron Watson, Kevin Fowler. So it's definitely possible. And I think it's a great spot because you're right on I-40 and I-27. So you can go crossways through the United States if you want to. But as far as like the music scene, there's live music almost every night of the week in Amarillo, which I don't think a lot of people realize that, but it's actually pretty poppin'.
She said poppin'. That's a word that's not used often enough in a podcast. I will say that. Whenever I ever use that word with my 16-year-old, she's like, "Dad, don't do that."
Oh, I'm all,
Now, where do you find the inspiration in your music for new songs, new writes? Is it just the day-to-day stuff? Is there maybe something particular that might catch your ear?
I always struggle with this question because sometimes it's something that just happened during the day, and then sometimes it comes out of nowhere. And I often wonder if some of the songs I write, it's usually not from any experience I know or anyone else. But later on, a few years later, that instance will happen. And I'm like, did I write that song because this was going to happen? Do I know something that I don't know? I don't know. And then sometimes I'll listen to other artists' music, and then I'll have an idea pop into my head. So, but a lot of times, like the stories behind it, a few of them are a reflection of my life and of friends' lives, but some of them I don't know where they come from.
Now, who is your all-time fave? Who's your go-to on your playlist?
Well, it would be Miranda Lambert, but then I also love Martina McBride. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those are great. Yeah. That's a pretty good list. That's pretty good aspirations, right?
Yeah. I think so. We'll find out.
Now, the new music, putting new music out in the times that we live in, Lindsey, what has this time around? What's it been like for you?
It's been very nerve-wracking because this business is not cheap. Every part about it is very expensive, and so it's just kind of like, should we spend, 10 grand on an album, or should maybe we buy a generator and some water? Like, it's just weird. It's just strange, but I don't have the answer. I don't know.
Well, you talked about whether you should buy a generator or and water or the album. What's the most 2020 purchase that you made last year?
Well, actually, so my husband, he was in the Marines, but when I say that, people are like, once a Marine, always a Marine. And then I don't know how to say it, but he's a veteran of the Marine Corps. But he ended up buying us an AR kit. So just the other day, we actually built our own guns. And I think that was probably the craziest we've gotten. He's always been a prepper. So we had toilet paper. And we've always had like rice and beans. And then I always thought he was crazy. But then when everything shut down, I was like, where's the rice?
Now, how has 2020 had an effect on the inspiration or your writing style, maybe?
I got a little kind of jazzy and bluesy there for a second. I don't know if I was just sad. So I wrote a lot of sad songs. But I mean, it's been interesting. I started music full time in May of 2019. I quit teaching. And then of course COVID comes around basically the fall of 2019 into 2020. And I was just sitting there like, I mean, I'm glad I'm not teaching because that's a wild world right now too. Yes. But at the same time, I'm like, wow. So there's 2 months where, I mean, we didn't have any gigs for 2 months and then it picked up and was doing really well. So, but in that moment, it was definitely questioning, whoa, what did I do?
Now, how did the teaching profession prepare you for the music industry?
That's a very good question. I think I definitely have a lot more patience than I probably would have. And then I think I taught third grade math. And so in Texas, there's the STAR test. And that's the first year they take the STAR test. And it was all about taking data and pulling it apart and figuring out, okay, what can we work on? What can we do better? And that's actually come in really handy when, say, charts go out and they come back. And then I look at them and I kind of separate. And I'm like, okay, where do I need to contact these people and do this? So I think that's been helpful. But I'm assuming I got it from teaching. I don't know where else it came from.
and how this is something I don't think I've really delved into much, being a numbers person as well. How much time can you find yourself spending on the numbers?
Too much time, like at least half a day if I don't watch myself. And then it's a very slippery slope because sometimes you'll look at it and I don't want to like ever get too excited. And then I also don't want to get too downhearted on stuff. So it's like staying just in the numbers and thinking, okay, this is just this isn't my life. This is just numbers and we're figuring it out. But a long time.
Yeah. Now, what was your first experience hearing yourself playing back to yourself on the radio?
I cried. Yeah. 'Cause it was just one of those things like, when I was little, it's always like the dream. Oh, I want to be a singer, that's great. But really actually doing it it's a totally different thing. And then to think back like, wow, you're actually doing what 6-year-old you wanted to do. How neat. And so I cried.
Now, what's the biggest challenge musically for you? Is it the vocals? Is it the writing? Is it the instrumentation? Is it the picking? What do you have to spend the most time on, I guess?
I would say songwriting. It depends what day it is, because songwriting can warp my brain a little bit. But definitely, I think instrumentation. That's not my strongest suit. Like I'll get by, and I'm learning new stuff every day. But it's I'm no Eddie Van Halen. So.
Now, how hard is it doing the Zoom rights and meets like that you haven't been able to do the in-persons as much?
Yeah, I would much rather be in person. It bugs me, and like when I have to do a Facebook. What is it, like the live stream?
Live, yeah.
It's the strangest thing because, when you play a live gig, you're playing and then people are right there talking back to you and you're feeling everything. You don't hear claps, so you finish and you're like, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys. I hope you like it. It's just awkward.
What was it? What was it like the first time that you played and you realized, oh, I'm not going to get any feedback? Did you know going in that you weren't going to get anything back?
I knew going in that it wasn't going to be like a normal show. So I set it up more of like, I guess, more of a meet and greet. So like I'd play a song and then I'd read comments, be like, how you guys doing? And answer questions. And then, you're in your own home. And so a lot of people would ask about like where are your stage clothes? I was like, all right, come on. Like, I'll just show you. Like, cause what else are we going to do here? I'll play for you, but whatever you want to know, that was a good time.
And so speaking of playing, do you want to play something for us today?
Sure thing.
I always love to let somebody play.
Yeah, so I released this song off my first EP in 2017. So this is while I was still teaching. And I was really struggling because I was teaching and I was in a band full time for the whole 5 years that I was teaching. Wow. And it was getting to a point where the music was really doing well, but teaching takes up a whole lot of time. And so like, I just wasn't sleeping and I had to decide like, which one am I going to do? I would have been happy either way, but I had to decide because I was wearing myself thin. So I wrote this song when I was trying to decide which one I wanted to do. So it's called Trying to Find You. These highway lines know where I'm going. That makes one of us. This road map in the sea next to me, well, it ain't helping much. 'Cause every exit I wanna take is blocked off anyway. And I keep looking for signs in every ghost town I come to. My heart is lost and it's trying to find you. Now I'm not scared of what's behind me, but I tear off my rear view. 'Cause I don't need my past to haunt me when I'm trying to find you. And this static on the FM, it ain't helping much, 'cause every song that plays is just about this damn highway. I keep looking for signs in every ghost town I come to, and my heart is lost, and it's trying to find you. My heart is lost, and it's trying to find you. Trying to find you.
That's good stuff. Thank you for playing that.
Sure thing. Thanks for letting me.
Now the latest single, Timber. Tell us tell us the story behind Timber.
Okay, so this is one of these little parts of my life where it just came to me and then I wrote it, and then you have to sit down and figure out, the story behind it. And I was like, oh crap.
I got one.
Really having to dig out. And so what I ended up doing was, when we perform it live, like, it's a very emotional song. So I have to pull from basically like the darkest moments of my life to pull out that sort of energy that needs to go into it. And so the song came about, I was just driving and looking for just a phrase that you could spin words off of, so I passed the one tree in Texas and I was like, what do people say when they have that tree? Timber. And so then I was thinking, okay, probably a love song or a breakup song. And I end up writing it. And then when we perform it live, I think of, and this is real depressing, so I'm sorry for anybody who's real sad, but there was a moment in time, and it was 2000, I think 2016, where I was just in a really dark place, and I was contemplating suicide, like had the gun in my hand, all of the things. And so anytime that we perform it live, like that's where I picture myself, because that was a moment when, I mean, I was on the floor. I timbered down to the floor. And so, but that's where I pull the emotion out of. So
now speaking along those lines, as you get ready for on the stage, I mean, that's something folks don't really think about, is the emotion that you have to carry for the different songs. I mean, is that one of the things that gets so emotionally draining about performing that folks don't think about?
Yes and no, but I've always considered, especially when I'm on stage, it's almost like a therapy, because you know, you're always going to have to live with those emotions. And so letting it out through the energy of your song is a lot healthier than other outlets. So although I do have to relive the moment every single time we play it, it's kind of like also a realization that, like, look how far you've come, like, just keep going. Everything's going to be okay. So it's a good little therapy.
Yeah. And as an artist as well, and music is healing, and as an artist as well, to make yourself vulnerable to those feelings, it keeps the performance fresh as well.
Yes, it does. But it does make this job a lot harder than most jobs, because you really have to be vulnerable at every second, you know, just to catch that creativity. And it's just, that's pretty draining, that part.
Now, Lindsey, if folks want to find out more about the single, about Timber, about the other music, the EPs, upcoming music, upcoming dates, and all that stuff, where's the best place? LindseyLaneOfficial.com.
Easy enough. And that's my real name, if anybody wants to. I always get that question. Well, it's my middle name, but it is given to me by my parents.
LindseyLaneOfficial.com.
Yes.
All right. Well, Lindsey, thank you so much for your time today, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and hopefully we can catch up later this year as things begin to pick back up.
Yeah, hopefully we can book a gig over there and I'll come see ya.
That would be great. Lindsey, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Cameron.
All right, guys, our next guest, honored to have singer, songwriter, and friend of the show as well, Kent Blazy, on the line. And first off, Kent, I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule.
Well, I appreciate you having me on. Works both ways, you know.
There you go. Now, Kent, talk about putting out some new music in the midst of a time that none of us have ever been through anything like this before. What was it different this time around as opposed to in normal situations?
Well, there were two things. I was down in West Palm Beach last year, March 13th, to do a gig that I've been doing, a benefit for 15 years with Miss Leslie Satcher. And the day we were supposed to do the gig, it got canceled, and that's when everything just all hell broke loose. And so by the time I got home 2 days later, all my gigs for the whole year had been canceled. And of course, nobody wanted to really get together and co-write because nobody knew what was going on. So I kept hearing about everybody talking about crazy times. And so the first song I wrote was the day I got back, called Crazy Times. And then I started just writing songs by myself because there wasn't anybody else around. And before I knew it, I had a record. And I thought, I think this needs to be put out as like a record for hope and possibilities in the middle of this. So I hadn't really counted on doing a record that soon, but, you know, all the studios had closed and everything else. And so they were finally reopening again. And I went to Sound Emporium, which is a great studio, and got two of John Party's guys played on the records because they couldn't tour, and some other friends of mine. And we went in, and the album should have been called Six Masked Men because, you know, we were all in there wearing masks and washing our hands and, you know, 6 feet away. And it was a different thing. But the minute we all started playing together, there was such an energy and magic that had been pent up from everybody. I just started crying. It was so emotional to me to be playing with people again. And everybody was so fired up. We recorded 11 songs that day, which is pretty unheard of. But everybody just was so excited to be back making music again. And so that's kind of how that album came out. Very unexpected, but you know, it's really helped a lot of people trying to get through what we're going through and giving them a little bit of hope and possibilities. And that was kind of the reason I did it, for myself and for everybody else.
Now, Kent, how much of the music that you've written is it out of therapeutic need, if you will, in times previous to this?
Not like it was this time. This time, you know, I always try to make music be therapeutic or uplifting as much as I can for myself and other people. But this time it was just, man, I need to be doing something. I need to be writing. I need to be recording a record. But I also want it to be therapeutic for the people that are listening to it. So it was coming from a totally different place this time, but then the world's a totally different place. So I was just kind of rolling with that.
Now, for you, is writing or co-writing, which of the two for you is more of a challenge or a stretch to do?
Is that kind of like asking a mother which child she wants the best? I don't know. You know, I love both of them. I love getting an idea by myself and having it come to fruition and completion. And the other thing is, you know, music, country music's so weird these days that there's a lot of stuff that I would like to write, and I would like to say that nobody really on Music Row wants to write it with me. So I have that luxury of writing it by myself. And then I get with other people and I co-write, you know, different things. And they all bring a different energy to the table. And I love co-writing. I've got favorite people that I write with. And both of them are fun. But for a long time, writing by myself wasn't fun. But I've turned it into a fun thing.
Now, where did you get the first inspiration for music? I mean, I love music. I can play and I can sing. The songwriting has always been the hold up, well, among other things. But where did the songwriting influence come in your life?
Well, for me, it was interesting. I came from I don't want to say an artistic family, but my parents, my sister was a painter and a photographer, and they encouraged us to be artistic. And so I really started writing poetry kind of at an early age. And when I was in high school, I would get some stuff published in, you know, the high school stuff, whatever it is, the yearbooks and the journals. And so I thought, well, hey, they must like it enough to want to print it. And so then when I got a guitar, I thought, well, you know, I write poetry. Why don't I start seeing if I can write songs instead of poetry? So that's kind of how it came about. Once I got a guitar in my hand, it was a different story.
Now, as a songwriter, do you do it out of necessity, or do you have like a daily regimen? I talk to a lot of songwriters, and they write every day, regardless whether they feel inspired or not. Is that kind of how do you subscribe to that same theory as well?
You know, I subscribe to any theory that'll work. And on any given day, you know, that's the great thing about co-writing is, you know, my wife says, well, I know when I see it in your books, you're going to be co-writing. So it kind of gives you a target to aim for. Okay, tomorrow I'm writing with Marv Green, or the next day I'm writing with Corey Batten. So you know what you're going to be doing, kind of who you're going to be aiming for. But if I'm writing by myself, it's more like it takes an idea to spur me on to sit down and work on it. And of course, not having too many other distractions going on in the last year because of everything going on, I've really been writing a whole lot of stuff. I think I wrote 5 songs this last week, you know, and it's just kind of crazy. They're just coming out, and I'm like, okay, thank you. I'll take another one, please, you know. So it's interesting, but I love both aspects of it. I love getting with other people and joking and having fun and comparing how each of us write the songs. And then I can kind of take that back to when I'm writing by myself. And if I get stuck, I go, well, you know, what would Marv Green do? Or what would Skip Ewing do? And it kind of gives you another way of looking at your own songwriting.
Now, did you find it challenging to stay positive in your writing in the last 12 months or so?
Well, in a sense, yes, but my target was to be in that place of being positive and being uplifting and trying to find ways to write those kind of songs to get out to people that were needing something like that. And that was my target. And I kind of tried to stay away from, everybody's got the bad news every time they turn it on. And so I was just aiming to have a different angle on it, where when people heard this, maybe they'd smile, maybe they'd laugh, maybe they'd go, okay, this is giving me hope for getting out of bed tomorrow.
Now we talked about whether writing or co-writing was favorite. Is the newest material that you've got, is that always your favorite material at the time? No,
I think I think you have to have them be kind of your favorite at the time to want to go in and record a record. You really have to be careful. Do I have enough for a record? Does it have a flow to it? Is it saying what I want to say? But it's changing all the time. Some of my favorite songs are still old songs, and then it's always exciting to write a new song. So it just depends on what day you're talking to me.
And Kent, the way you talked about the music landscape is shifting, how does that change the songwriting landscape as well?
It's a totally different world on how country music seems like it's written to me these days. A lot of them, they start with track guys and drum loops, and then you sit down and you try to write something to that. And I come from a more organic place. I like to have somebody just sitting down with me with a guitar or a piano or something like that and seeing what comes out of that, rather than, well, we're aiming for this. We got to put the drum machine on 92 because that's what everybody's cutting, the tempo of 92, or we have to say this, and we can't say we've been married, or we can't say we're divorced, or we can't say we have kids. There's so many parameters that it just kind of stifles the creativity. There was a time when you could write about anything and you had a chance of somebody liking it and cutting it.
Now, of the many writes and co-writes that you've had, is there any artist that took one of your writes and made something of it that really kind of took you back? I mean, we know the Garths and so many others. Was there maybe another that really sticks out for you?
Well, at the top of the list, of course, like you said, is Garth. He's just so amazing. He's an incredible songwriter, and he always takes it to another level. And you're always unexpected by it. But I have to say, Chris Young doing Getting You Home, that was kind of the same way. We had this good little song, we thought, and then when they went into the studio, they really captured a magic that took it to a whole nother level.
And that song has staying power, because I've still got a lady that I get that requested at least twice a week, still to this day.
Well, tell her I love her.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Kent, yeah, I mean, everywhere I go, there's always some woman in a black dress who wants to hear that song, and that's okay with me.
Now, Kent, how did the what happened in 2020? Did that change the goal setting for you as you move into 2021 and years going forward?
Well, I love performing. I've got a rock band that I play with. I love doing singer-songwriter things. And so this last year, we haven't been able to do any of that. So my target for this year was hopefully get back into doing it. And I have a bunch of shows lined up, but whether they will really happen or not all depends on what this crazy virus is doing. I've had 2 album release parties that we were supposed to do. And John Party's guys got exposed to COVID during the CMA Awards, and they couldn't do it. They didn't get to play on the CMA Awards. And then my other guitar player got COVID over Christmas, so we had to cancel that show. So it's just, I feel like we're skating on ice right now as far as, okay, we've got stuff lined up, but will we be able to do it?
And I was talking... Was talking also with Marlon Hargis from EXILE earlier, and the question that I asked him: whenever you get ready to take the stage, what's the thing about getting ready to take the stage that you've missed the most?
I just love taking the stage and knowing there's an audience out there that came to hear what you have to say, what you have to play, and that's so much missed these days. I've done a couple shows. There's a great room here in Nashville called the Listening Room, and it's about the only singer-songwriter room open anymore. But just to walk out on stage and people are taking the chance to come out during the middle of this and listen to music, and everybody's so hungry for live music that it's a very emotional thing when I get out there to do it, because they're basically risking their lives to come out and hear music.
That's right. Now, Kent, if folks want to find more information about the album, about the tour dates as those become available, as well as all of the socials, Kent, where's the best place for folks to catch up?
Probably KentBlazy.com's the best. The other thing is all the music's on iTunes and Amazon and every other place that doesn't pay anything anymore, and that's the main thing. I've kind of gotten off all the other socials this year. One, it's just so distracting, that, and I don't know, it's just kind of turned to a different thing than what it started out to be. So I kind of have been staying off of it. I have a guy who will post my gigs on Facebook once in a while if I can find him. But other than that, it's just KentBlazy.com. And if anybody wants a hard copy, I still have CDs, believe it or not. And, if they want to write me, I can get them a CD and autograph it or whatever. It's still my favorite way to listen to music, other than vinyl, which the problem with vinyl anymore, you go, is that record's already over.
That is right. Well, Kent, like I mentioned to you before we came on the air, been a huge fan of your work for many years. I truly appreciate you taking some time to visit with us today, and hope you have a wonderful 2021. Hopefully we can catch up again real soon.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Thanks for a great interview. Really good questions. And I hope 2021 is better for everybody.
Really excited to have our next guest on the show. Been a fan for, as long as I can remember. They actually formed, but before I was formed, actually. From Exile, we've got Marlon Hargis on the line. And Marlon, always great to visit with you, my friend.
Yeah, I'm laughing because I like what you said. We were formed before you were formed. that's clever. We've been around a long time, obviously a lot longer than you. So that's cool.
Now, Marlon, for you, as you look back over the years and the history, being a member of the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame, and so many of the different accolades, I mean, do you still have to pinch yourself sometimes and make sure this is that it's really real?
I guess so. I mean, sometimes if we're in a concert situation or a public situation and people talk about how important a song was in our life or want to get an autograph or something, even after 50, I think we're going into our 57th or 58th year of the band. I still kind of have to stop and say, wait a minute, are you talking to me? Because that's one thing about, and I think I can say this about all five of us. We're just very, very normal, everyday people. I mean, there's nothing unique about our life, other than the fact that we're musicians and entertainers. So it does still make you stop and think every once in a while, and frankly, appreciate it. It's always nice.
And with all that went on in 2020, to have a new release out before Christmas to put a light on folks' faces as well, how cool was that? And also, how challenging was it to pull that off?
Well, it was very cool. I mean, we were glad actually to have anything released. I mean, at the beginning of last year, we actually had some plans to do a whole Christmas CD and some other things, but obviously, things went downhill real quickly. But we were lucky to get that together. It was a little challenging. For one thing, the band members live in two different cities. So three of us live here in Nashville, and two of the guys still live in Lexington, Kentucky. So the logistics of recording were a little hard, even though with the technology anymore, you don't necessarily have to be in the same room to record. And actually, we did a lot of it, remotely. And then, of course, another interesting thing about doing Christmas stuff is I think we finished it in September. So I mean, we recorded it in, August and September. So it's a little odd, even though, everybody does that. But we had a really good reaction to it. It was on a lot of top 10 charts. A lot of the video got a lot of play. And it was a lot of fun putting it together. To those who haven't seen it, the video is called "Kid at Heart," is the name of the song, and it's talking about being a kid at heart. And each of us went back through and searched old photographs and videos from, number one, when we were kids, or when our kids were kids, or in a couple of cases we have grandkids now. So it was fun just finding a lot of those old pictures, and frankly, you'd kind of forgotten about them, and it was very rewarding. Actually, I actually enjoyed it. I think it was a good song and a good video.
Also, the being named on the Billboard 160th anniversary chart as well. Just another one of the accolades. What did maybe from 2020? What did maybe you come out of 2020 knowing that you had no idea that it was going to be on the radar coming in?
Well, I mean, obviously, the whole year was surprising. And some of those accolades you mentioned, like I think we were in the number 160 or something of all-time songs. Those things pop up every once in a while, and frankly, we're always kind of surprised and pleased. We were named in the top 10 of I think it was called the sexiest songs of all time and stuff like that. Which you can't. Well, I guess you have to take it somewhat seriously. I mean, it just shows the importance of that song. I don't know. This past year, it's. I can only speak personally. I think at the end of the year, I mean, it's really hard for an artist to not work, and it's not so much just the monetary thing. It's just the fact that that's what you do. I mean, you perform in front of people and you record and you do the Opry and stuff. And when you can't do that, it sort of takes a big part of you away, But I know in my case, it's a good feeling. At the end of the year, all 5 band members are still very positive about everything. No one was griping or wanting to, say, let's hang it up or this or that. Everybody understood. And everybody's has so far, I mean, have been healthy. So I think it just maybe showed us, if anything, that we can survive. I mean, let's face it, who would have ever thought, before you always heard that the entertainment industry could survive anything. It could survive wars, it could survive, the economy. But the one thing it couldn't survive happened. And so I guess that the only really good thing is that we've all survived it, and that we all still look forward to going forward. And as a matter of fact, we've got a big business meeting with management scheduled tomorrow to talk about what we can do, to make things the best for the coming year.
And what is it about the stage, coming on stage whenever you hit the stage? What is it that you miss most, or that you look forward to the most for the next time you're able to take the stage?
Well, I just miss, as corny as it sounds, we all miss playing together. I mean, that's the one thing, and really the main reason the 5 of us sort of reformed. Well, I guess this was going on 13 years ago. Because, and again, it wasn't necessarily to tour to make a living. It was because we really enjoyed playing. So I just personally, I miss, going on stage, hearing our intro and people clapping and looking out and to see people smiling and clapping along and singing. That's really what I miss. I just miss seeing an audience enjoying themselves. That's the thing I'm really looking forward to getting back to.
Now, has for you, Marlon, has inspiration musically, has it been easier or harder to find over the last year?
It's been harder. The thing is, and again, I'm just speaking personally, just the fact that you're not playing shows every week. I mean, the fact that I'm not playing keyboards. Now, one thing, Sonny and I, the bass player, we started a thing a few months ago where we actually did a Facebook Live thing where the two of us I would go up to his house and he had a piano there, and we would do it where we would play some songs, and post them on Facebook. And we would do cover songs. We didn't do our own material. So, which was kind of fun because, we'd do old Beatles songs and just stuff that we loved doing. And that sort of personally kept me going just because, you were practicing those songs and you were playing every week. So that's really the hard thing is just sort of keeping your hand in playing, just missing, practicing every week and playing every week. So it's been hard, but I think all of us have sort of done that. I don't know of any of us that just have not been playing, so that's the thing that's been hard.
And for you, of the music what's the music that you've been leaning on over the pandemic? Has there been any maybe surprise tunes that have come out that have maybe kind of tickled your fancy a bit?
Well, now this may not be exactly what you're asking, but I do know this. I'm not one of the songwriters in the band, but I do know the songwriters, mainly JP and Sonny. They have actually been writing throughout the year, and have actually written some good stuff. Because I mean, they've played us, some guitar vocal demos. Particularly, we were going to do a whole Christmas EP. We've got a lot of good songs ready to go. When we're ready to record them, and some just regular songs as well. So. I think we've sort of kept our everything going there. I think what's interesting to me, I'm a kind of an old rock and roller. I love the music from the 60s and 70s, and it's been fun to me to go back and work up some of those songs that there was no reason to do it before, so I just never did. And it kind of helps your playing a little to learn something and learn something a little different. So that's sort of kept me going, I think.
Now, Marlon, being a keyboard player, when did you first? How old were you when you took your first lesson?
I was 5 years old, believe it. So that's been a long time. And I always say my parents made me take lessons, frankly, and I really didn't like it. For a few years. I mean, I grew up in a small town out in the country. I wanted to be outside playing, a ball or something. And it was maybe a little different. But then when I was at around 1963 or so, or maybe a year or two before, right along the time the Beatles came out, some guys approached me to start, playing in a band. And at that point, everything really changed. Because I could see, well, wait a minute, this might be fun, So even though I didn't like the lessons and having to play, concerts, and when I say concerts, I mean like recitals and stuff, it paid off because it helps your technique, how to play, and I know it kind of exposed me. I had a great piano teacher who would let me like play some jazz stuff, and pop stuff. So it was good for me, even though, as I say, in early years, I really hated it. I didn't really like having to do it.
I understand that completely. My mom made me start lessons when I was in 4th grade, and I think I made it a month and a half. And I stepped away. I never touched a piano again until my senior year of high school. So I understand. I didn't hang with it like you did.
Yeah, I guess I didn't hate it badly enough to just say I'm not doing it. So again, I thank my parents daily, even though I didn't like it at the time, and my piano teacher. As I say, I can remember having to go in for piano lessons and having to play scales and just do the same old crap. And but I always say I owe her a lot, because she kind of opened my eyes to a lot of music, and so I really thank those people now in retrospect. It really made my whole life, really.
And Marlon, how do you keep the chops? How do you do you have a daily regime that you do to keep yourself still up, if you will?
Not really. I mean, not a daily schedule. I mean, I like to sit down maybe 2 or 3 days a week, or in the evening usually, and just kind of play. And you find if you sit down and start playing, or at least I do, you may find yourself an hour later still playing. You can kind of, like in my case, I've got a little music room, and I'll usually, you may put on some headphones so I don't bother anybody. And it's relaxing, and it does keep you in shape. I mean, after so many years, it's hard to get out of shape. I mean, if we don't play a concert for a few weeks, or in this case a few months, it comes back to you almost immediately. I mean, it's not that difficult.
That's cool. Now, Marlon, if folks want to find more information about the music, about dates as those become available as well, and everything else with Exile the band, what's the best way to keep up?
Well, we've got a couple of places. And I will say this: we haven't really posted a schedule yet, because the next 2 or 3 months are still up in the air, obviously. But we're hoping by May to kind of start doing shows again. And we actually have a pretty good schedule already in place. But as I say, we're waiting, just to kind of see what happens. However, there's 2 places you can go, and we have a website, and it's exile.biz, B-I-Z, exile.biz. And then we have a Facebook page, which on our Facebook page, we try to do something on there about every day or so. So you can really keep up with what's going on. And we've done so all year. And our Facebook page is Exile Band Official. It's all one long word, Exile Band Official. And we post all our dates on there, and what we have coming up. Like this interview. I mean, we'll post when this interview is going to come up and stuff like that. And that's one thing. Media's been a really good way to kind of keep in touch with our fans throughout the year. And we post old videos and old concerts and stuff. So people seem to appreciate that. So it's actually come in very handy.
Yeah, we've all had to adjust things a little bit this year, haven't we, Marlon?
We have, and in a way, I think we've maybe discovered some different ways to get our product out, and different ways to survive. So it's not all bad. Like I say, those of us who have survived, we've learned a lot from it, I think. That's
right. Well, Marlon, it is always a privilege to have the chance to visit with you. I appreciate you taking the time, and wish you guys a blessed 2021, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon, my friend.
I hope so, Kevin, and maybe in about 6 months I'll be back, and we'll be talking about all our tour dates, I hope.
That sounds like a plan. Marlon, thank you so much.
All right, thank you, bud. Talk to you soon.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, email me gqwithcam@gmail.com. Thanks again to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with the theme music. We're going to let him play us out. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday. Join me for episode 13 coming up tomorrow.